it's me, Renee. I'm back. And today, as you can see, this is the January book tag. So, yeah, another book tag on a Tuesday because why not? And it's Tag Tuesday. So, yeah, you're getting a video today. And yeah, so it's the January book tag. So, this being the last day of January, I feel like this fits quite lovely and good. And yeah, it's kind of, I suppose, in a way, it's kind of similar to the other two tags I've done already this year. So it's all about like which goals you manage, which goals you didn't manage, and specific reasons and such. But yeah, it's a bit different, and I want to do it. So here I am doing it. So the first question is, what's the first read you read of last year, and what's the last book you read? So here I have two answers, and that seems a bit weird, but yeah. Okay, so according to Goodreads, according to Storygraph, the first book I read was, in a little moment, A Read with Pride by Lucy Plowry. And this is because the first read I actually read was this one, but this is a Norwegian book, so it's not on Storygraph. Surprise, surprise. So I suppose if you want to be technical, the first one I read was this one, Mening av livet, eller Yes Sir I Can Boogie, which is a book by a Norwegian comic, and he also often writes books as well. And this is all about how he interprets he interprets songs that has been hits in Norway and kind of try to find the meaning of life through them, because the first title is Mening av livet, the meaning of life. I suppose in a way he's kind of analyzing the songs and kind of in a way talking about how why is this song such a big hit? Because I suppose a lot of the hits were hits a lot of hits, yeah, but some hits were hits just in Norway and kind of like why is this a big hit and why not this hit, and like why does this song resonate with people? And I suppose yeah, they also kind of talks about his childhood and like his relationship to songs and yeah, kind of stuff like that. And yeah, I would say that I have read better books by him because yeah, he's a stand-up comedian, but he's also a writer, and yeah, he's written quite a few books now, I would say. And yeah, I would say I've read better books by him, but it wasn't a bad book, and it was an enjoyable read to start the year, really. And I did finish it in like 4 hours, so it's a quick read. But yeah, if you want to know, if you want to know more about Read with Pride, which is the first official book that I read last year, according to Sorograph, because it's in English. That's the second book in a series by Lucy Prowry. Uh, it's a book set around a fun group where they have a book club, but they're in the teens, so it's not like a book club where you wine and talk about books. But it's a book club where people actually talk about books, and yeah, they go to Jane Austen Museum and stuff like that. But yeah, they're I suppose the nerdy teens. But yeah, so far I read the first two in the series. I believe it's trilogy. It's a portrait. I'm not quite sure. So the first two, I have liked them both, but it's not really a book series that I go around thinking a lot about. So yeah, I believe in a way I feel like they're kind of much more related and much more targeted towards like actual teens. For me as an adult, I've enjoyed them, but I believe like if I was like 12, 13, 14, I would have loved them. But then this point in time, they kind of feel like you're interesting enough. No, it's interesting enough in the moment when I'm reading it. Like it's not book's idea enough, but as I said, it's not really a book that I think that much about afterwards. And then the next question is, which book was the last you read last year? And this book, give me a little moment because I think I remember it, but then I forgot it. No, give me a little moment. Isn't it the last and the first? Yeah, because that's the first. But yeah, yeah. And the last book I read last year was Forevermore by Cindy Miles. Actually, a reread. I read the first in 2012, I want to say, around that time, because that was actually around the time it came out. I believe I might have read twice. But yeah, I've at least read once before. But yeah, it was a nice reread. Kind of just I went to the library and I thought like, oh yeah, that book. And I kind of felt like reading it. And yeah, it's sorry. It's a supernatural romance story. Well, supernatural romance YA story. So it's not like steamy, but it's has lovely romance in it. There's also some bit mystery in it, and it's about this American girl. She goes to live in Scotland because she has a new stepdad, and yeah, it's about her trying to get used to living in Scotland, trying to bond with her step grandma, stuff like that, and also there's a ghost in her house. So yeah, and then also some mysterious things happening, and yeah, quite enjoyable read. Both the first time and this time, I would say like I didn't like I didn't remember all the things that happened in the book. So it's because I haven't read it in a quite a while, like before this last time I read it. So it was kind of like I suppose with me at least rereading. Like if you reread a book and you haven't read it in quite a long while, then you don't remember stuff. So it's just like, oh, this happened, and oh, is this how this happens? Well, sometimes if you reread a book you've read a lot of times, like a book you kind of know by heart, it's more like, oh yes, this thing, this thing, this thing. So two kind of two coins of rereading. But yeah, Forevermore by Cindy Miles, I quite enjoyed it, and I feel like it's a book not a lot of people talk about. I don't think I've heard anyone talk about it. And yeah, I suppose if you're in the mood for cheesy, because yeah, it's definitely cheesy. I mean, it's a romance. It's quite cheesy. It's not really unpredictable. You can predict a lot of stuff that happens in it. But also, I suppose not everything. I suppose it's not full of twists, but they had a few twists that I didn't remember myself. But I'm not quite sure if like when I read it the first time, did I predict stuff or not? I don't remember. But yeah, for me, it was quite an enjoyable read. So yeah, that was the first read. And then I suppose does it count because a reread? So I suppose if you want to know the first actual read that I read last year, I suppose yeah, rereads count. That was the different league, different type than like books you read for the first time. But yeah, after I finished that, I went on to do a lot. Well, yeah, I did like eight Sherlock Holmes audiobooks. I listened to them, and yeah, they were new to me reads, and yeah, quite enjoy them. And also in that kind of in the same kind of in the same kind of time while I was doing the listening to the audiobooks of Sherlock Holmes, I managed to finish all of the Sherlock Holmes stories. Because yeah, last year I actually started listening to a lot of Sherlock Holmes stories, and I kind of wanted to like read all of Sherlock Holmes last year. Didn't happen, but I finished them all this year. So I suppose yeah, that's one goal from last year. I didn't manage last year, but finished it this year, like this January. So not that far off from finishing it last year, and yeah, kind of happy with that. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. And then I believe the next question is, give me a little moment. Blah, 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 blah. What is your first? Yeah, I just answered the first read of this year, which was Forevermore, and also Sherlock Holmes stories. 12 of them, 8 of them, to be exact. And up next is shared free reading goals. Now, yeah, I've talked about this before, but I suppose, hey, maybe you're new here, maybe you haven't seen these other book tags I've recently made. And like, because I wouldn't really say I have that many reading goals, really. I suppose I have some reading goals, but not really yearly, they're more like in generally. But yeah, I suppose I'll just kind of go with them. Okay, I suppose one being like last year I wanted to finish 50 queer reads because this anniversary in Norway. Because last year it was 50 years since it became legal to be queer in Norway. I didn't manage that goal, but I kind of wanted to do it this year. And I suppose, yeah, why not do it this year instead of last year? And then also last year I managed 25, so I did go half, so wasn't that bad. Yeah, I kind of want to do it that this year. And I suppose also a nice way to like put a number on queer reads to read, because even though I like to read queer stories now and then, I don't like always get to them like as many get to them as many as I want to. So yeah, I suppose having a goal and having a numbered goal is a good way to reading more stuff. So yeah, that's and then yeah. I didn't think about this, but yeah, I kind of want to. I suppose this is also really rolling on from last year, but I kind of want to read more Latin American authors. I read some last year, well, Latin American authors and books, but yeah, I read some new last year that I kind of want to keep on doing this year. Um, but yeah, I definitely want to do that. I still have not read Anna Marie McLemore. I have two books by them, have not picked them up because I don't know, so many books, so little time. So I suppose, yeah, that's that goal. But like actually focus a bit more on Latinx offers. I suppose maybe I'll set a goal for that as well. You know what? I'll set a goal of 9 books by Latinx authors and different authors. I'm gonna do different authors, not just 9 books, but like by different authors. Because it was in 2009 that I lived in Chile. Yes, I did live in Chile for 1 year. Well, más o menos un año. Viví en Santiago de Chile, el capital, y viví del febrero hasta diciembre, entonces más o menos un año. Hice la escuela ahí y todo eso, y entonces sí. But yeah, so yeah, those 2 goals, and then a third goal, which I'm talking about also before. But yeah, I'm also a part of like blah 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 a readathon where I'm reading my own books, and it's in January, so it's January, December, January, February, March. That I want to do is like a goal the whole year to like read books that I own. Like I'm not gonna say that I'm not won't buy any new books this year, but I do kind of want to focus more on reading books I own instead of like buying 20 books and then reading 2 of the books I own. Like I want to get more balanced that way instead of like just buying lots of new books and then uh reading some of the books I have, but just kind of accumulating lots of books and not reading them. Not that I'm shaming people who buy lots of books. You do you, but yeah, for my sake, like I kind of want to read more of the books I own. And I suppose, and now I suppose to be precise, I don't really. I'm not saying here I'm gonna read. Like, sorry, I'm not gonna read and finish all the books I own. Like, if I open a book and discover like, oh, why did I read this? Why did I buy this? Or, while reading it, or like if I think like, okay, this book will work for me 5 years ago, but it doesn't work now, then I'm gonna DNF it and give it to charity. But like I'm gonna focus on the books that I have and either read them or DNF them, and yeah, that way I'll have more read books. So yeah. So yeah, I suppose that's a bit of a long answer to that question, but yeah, blah 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 blah. And then share 3 of your anticipated titles. Yeah, I was kind of thinking, okay, should I write name books that have that I own that I have not read? But I suppose anticipated title. I feel like often anticipated you kind of implies like new books that haven't been released or like new books from this year. And I don't own actually any books from this year so far. Do I? Well, actually, I own like 1 book, like because it's an arc. But yeah, I'm not gonna mention that one because it's an arc. And yeah, and I actually just finished it. So yeah. But yeah, here I'm gonna go with Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. It's her YA debut. It actually came out already 3 weeks ago. Yeah, 3 weeks ago. I have not bought it yet, but yeah, I kind of want to buy it and read it. Or maybe I'll read it in February. Yeah, nice thing to do then. But yeah, and then we have The Chalice of the Gods, which is a Percy Jackson book. Percy Jackson 6. It's set after. I believe it's set after Heroes of. I believe it's set after the Gods of Olympus, but before Heroes of. Heroes. No, but before that, it's set after the last struggle. No, less struggle. It's set after the first series, but before Heroes of Olympus. Yeah, it's set before Heroes of Olympus, but after. Yeah, kind of like outside of time. It's not like it's a standalone, but it's set in the Percy Jackson universe. So yeah, of course, me being the Percy lover I am, I definitely want to read that. And that one comes out in September, I want to say. Might be wrong there. I think it's September. But yeah. And then we have Spice Road, which I didn't remember to write down the offer of this one. But yeah, it's the first in a series. And the Silk Road was like actual road in the I want to say Middle Ages. Okay, anyway, yeah. Anyway, in history, where they had this trade route between the Middle East, Asia, and Europe, and yeah, where they sold silk and kind of traveled with things from the east to the west, and then backwards. And this book is called Spice Road, so it's kind of like the same kind of thing, I think, because I think it's based in a like a historical-ish setting. But with this story, it has magic to it, and yeah, gotta love magic, and yeah, it just sounds cool. So excited to read it. And yeah, the next question is, what is some some goals you reached last year, and what are some goals you did not reach? And I asked talk about a bit about this one. I did not finish 50 queer reads last year, but I did invent that goal for myself like last I think it was August. So it was already a lot of the year had gone by, and I kind of also wanted to like only use books where the main character was gay and not like side characters. So yeah, but yeah, I did manage 25. I think it was like 25, maybe 28 reads, and that's halfway to 50. So it's not awful, but and also like when you make a goal for yourself halfway into a year, and when you're a mood reader, that's kind of how things can go, that isn't it? So yeah. Yeah, I did not finish the Sherlock Holmes stories, though I read quite a lot of them. Well, I read most of them in January last year, but still. But yeah, I did manage to finish my goal, my number goal, because I had a number goal of 155, and I end up at 159. Or I suppose technically I end up 159 because, well, technically on StoryUp it was 159, but that was 159 English books. But yeah, I read quite a lot of Norwegian books last year. I was part of like some different readathons where I kind of focused to read some Norwegian reads instead of English reads and whatnot. So I think like if you want to be technical or like official, like if you want to have precise number of books I read last year, I think actually kind of end up being around like 180 or 180 books. Yeah, I think it was like 20 books I read last year were Norwegian books. I think around that. Well, 20. That would be wrong. But yeah, it was quite a few ones. So yeah, around that. But yeah, still, even with that, I'm quite happy with how I managed to read last year. And also, like, yeah, I didn't finish all my goals, no, but I did read quite a lot of good books. Uh, I continued in my good series. I found new books. Yeah, all in all, I would say like 2022 for me at least, reading wise, was a great year. A lot of people have been saying like 2022 for them wasn't that good of a reading year. For me, I found uh, um, lots of new favorite books, lots of new favorite authors, amazing reading experiences. So yeah, for me, I'm quite happy with how last year went. Really. Yeah. Next question is: do you have any reading habits you want to change? Um. Oh yeah. Skipped one. Okay, I'm just gonna skip back. So yeah, the next question is actually: is there 2023 books you're not interested in? So I suppose I don't really pay attention to book I don't like. I'm interested in. Like I pay attention, yeah, to the book search in the whole, yeah. But like if there's a genre or like an author I don't really pay attention to, I wouldn't really know if they have a book coming out or not. So I wouldn't really know if it's a book I'm not interested in or not. because like if it's by an author I'm interested in, then yeah, I'll probably also want to read like every one of the books. But yeah, so this is kind of difficult for me to answer, but I'm gonna cheat. I don't think it's cheating, but I think this might be true. But yeah, if Stephen King is coming up in the book this year, I'm not reading it. I read one Stephen King book years ago, and it wasn't for me. And also, like Stephen King, he writes scary stuff. I suppose depends on who you ask if it's scary or not. But like for me, it was scary, and I don't really like to be scared. Like I like, and I suppose I kind of feel like weird because I don't like horror movies or horror books, but I like action movies. And I suppose I'm scared sometimes in action movies. But I suppose like action stories, but I suppose the difference between action and horror is that in horror, at least, well, yeah, one thing, like the good people could die, they aren't guaranteeing a happy ending. And also like B, there's a bit more gore and stuff like that. While in action and yeah, action books and movies is more like running away from a villain. Well, they often uh, figure out an end, and it's not like scary. Scary is more suspenseful, I would say. Which I would say like scary is like well, suspenseful is more like is it gonna make it? Is it gonna make it? More like the edge of your seat in a way. I don't know if this is getting through to you. Yeah, you probably understand what I'm thinking about or not. Anywho, yeah. So yeah, if Stephen King has any books out, I'm not interested in reading it. I also saw someone mention that well, because I saw someone do this tag last year, and they didn't want to read Sarah J. Maas book from last year. And I suppose I could also piggyback on that. I'm not really a Sarah Maas reader. I actually used to be. I read like 3, 4 of her Throne of Glass books, and I read the first in the Court of Thorns and Roses. But after that, I've lost interest. So at this point in time, I'm not really that bothered with her anymore. So if she comes out with any books, cool for you. If you're a fan of her, I personally don't care. So yeah, yeah. And now next question is, do you have any reading habits you want to change? I wouldn't really say specifically for this year, and also like because as for the goals, I have like goals that kind of have several years. I don't really have specific this for this year. But I suppose I kind of want to do this, but I feel like I also am doing it. Like I kind of want to stop impulse buying so many books because before I often impulse buy books, which I suppose if you go into a bookstore you find a sale, it's easy to like think, oh, cool, sale, you look cool, I'm gonna buy you. But like just because it's on sale does not mean it's gonna be a book you want to read. Like at least for me, sometimes I end up buying books I wouldn't like normally reach for. Like it's like, yes, I need that book. Was in general like I don't really need to buy books every time I go into a bookstore, which I actually have done lately. I've been going to bookstores and looking, and I have not been buying. So yeah, feeling a bit happy with that because yeah, I have quite a lot unread books, but also like if you buy books all impulsively, yes, sometimes not knowing about book could could mean that you have no expectations and you find a new favorite book. Yes, but that's not always the thing. And yeah, I feel like I suppose this is a goal really for me, not to buy old books all the time. Really. Other than that, I, I don't really think. I suppose I have like I suppose that's more a reading goal than a habit. But yeah, I suppose habit because it's a habit of buying stuff. But yeah, other than that, a reading habit. Don't think I have one really. I suppose instead of uh, starting a book in January and not finishing in until December. But then like I'm a mood reader, so like sometimes I'm in a mood to read that book, and then the mood is not like I don't finish the whole book because I'm not in the mood for to finish the whole book, and then I'm not in the mood to read it for many months, and that's kind of how it is. So I'm not really sure I'm gonna change that thing, and also like putting a book down for many months. It's not like it's a big bad boo boo because it's with books that I have myself like books I own. So yeah, yeah. Sorry. And then the next question is your favorite bookish memory from last year. This was a bit difficult, but like I suppose I ended up like I suppose I could have said like yes, this last year gave me this and this bring experience and this book. But I'm saying like a book that I really loved last year. Um, have I jumped? Uh, no. Yeah. Anyway. Kind of if I forgot something, but yeah, I can do it afterwards. Anyway. But yeah. So yeah, I did read a lot of great books last year. But instead of mentioning on those, I'm gonna mention a bookish experience that I have had last year, which I suppose if you've been there before, you might have seen it. If not, last October I had the privilege and enjoy of going to the Strand. Yes, the in the New York City bookstore, the Strand, and it was just such an amazing experience. Of course, I bought some book there. I bought a book tote bag. But yeah, just walking around there and just looking at all the books and all the shelves, it was just, yeah, it was heaven. The only thing, sadly, I only went to for like 20 minutes because it wasn't so close to my hotel, so I had to find the bookstore, and then later that day I was going to Broadway, so I didn't have all the time I kind of wanted to have there. But I suppose you know what? Like I'm not living in New York, so like if I'd been there longer, I suppose I could have been tempted to buy more books than I bought. I bought two books there. I bought two books there. Like I suppose I could have been tempted to buy more books. And yeah, I didn't really have all that much space in my luggage. I suppose that's a good way of it. And also, I did go to Strand. Now I can say I've been to the Strand. I've actually been there, and I took some pictures. And yeah, I quite enjoyed it. And yeah, that was a big highlight, I would say, of my trip. Actually, it was. I very much enjoyed it. But also, yeah, a bit of side note. But yeah, also last summer I went to Denmark for my a summer vacation, and I went, of course, to a lot of bookstores there, and I really liked the bookstores they have there. A lot of them were quite big, and they had like lots of shelves for, like they had like three shelves for books for kids 0 to 2. So like so many books for the youngest kids. Like oh my god, so nice. And they had, yeah, I suppose they kind of had a lot of more shelves for like all the books. So yeah, I quite enjoyed being there as well. So yeah, so that's that. Um, then give me a little moment. Blah 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 blah. What about that one? And I mentioned that one. Yeah, okay, yeah. So I forgot about one question. Well, one question. Yeah, one question. I'm going to do the last one afterwards. But yeah. So the question I forgot about is: do you have any adaptations that you're looking forward to this year? Yes, of course I have. There's a Red, White, and Royal Blue movie coming out. We still don't really have a date for that one. I'm quite curious if it's coming in February because of Valentine. I suppose might be coming later because I suppose it doesn't have to come out February because it's a romance movie. I don't know. But yeah, that one I'm quite enjoying. Looking forward to. I mean, it's gonna be an Amazon movie, so I don't have an Amazon account, so I have to find out which of my friends has an Amazon account to like see it. But I suppose I can make a trial myself, maybe. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, Red, White, and Royal Blue. Very much looking forward to that one. Then we have the statistical love at probability of love at first sight coming in the fall. It just got September release. And recently, we found out that Geek Girl is being made to one limited season, 10 episodes coming in Netflix in September. And yeah, in September this year. So yeah, quite excited about that one. Very excited. I also already mentioned that one in video yesterday, but yeah, very happy with that. Uh, yeah. Why are you like forgot something? No, those. Did I forget something? Let me just double check. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. No, that was like no one also to talk about. And then we have. And last question is, what are some books carryovers from last year that you want to finish this year? No, I suppose I haven't Googled, so I'm not quite sure if carryovers means books you meant to read last year that you didn't, or books that you started reading last year that you haven't finished yet. I took it to mean that the books that I meant to read last year that I have finished. So I suppose yes, all that I haven't read. So I suppose all these I have actually started. I just haven't gotten quite far in them. But yeah, we have Why Women Read Fiction by Helen Taylor. The Stories of Our Lives. So it's a non-fiction book about why females love to read. Which I mean it's kind of a known fact that a lot of people who love to read are women. A lot of men don't like to read. Some of them do, but like often I think readers automatically think of females. So yeah, this is a story about. I think she's interviewed people who and stuff like that about why they love to read, and yeah, it's a British author, and yeah. And then we have Arya Shah and a Nectar of Immortality, which this is the last book in this series. So I suppose you might understand why I haven't read much in it because I don't want it to end. I mean, why would I want it to end? I just don't. I don't want it to end. I love this series so much. So yeah, those was maybe you can think like, well, it's not over until the adaptation is out there. I suppose the adaptation is not the same as the book, but I mean, there's been rumors of adaptation of the series, so that could be fun. I suppose, yeah, when I finish this book, there's also always going to be a reread. I can always do that. But yeah, I don't want to end. I have read like 2 chapters into it, so I've started slightly, but not a lot. Because, I mean, this book has lots more than 2 chapters, but yeah. And then we have Luck of the Titanic, Luck of the Titanic by Stacey Lee. A book this last year, yeah, last September or something. Have not finished it yet, or started really. Well, I think I've read like 1 page in it, 2 paragraphs. Yeah, I think it's slightly. But yeah, I did read The Downstairs Girl 2 years ago and loved it so much. So yeah, I very much want to get this one. Just haven't because all of the books. So yeah, and that's really my and that's kind of the 3 books that I kind of well, at least some of the 3 books that I haven't read last year and I want to read this year. There are of course more, but I had to stop someplace. And yeah, and that is this book tag, the January book tag. So I suppose if you want to do it, I suppose you could do it today, film it now and post it today. Or I suppose no one's gonna be mad at you if you post this tomorrow or like in a few days because people there's no booktube police. You can relax. It does not exist. But yeah, you might ask yourself, well, who are you gonna tag? Uh, as usual, I'm gonna tag you, who is watching this and wants to do it. Easy as that. And yeah, see you soon. Bye.